Welcome back
It's been a while.
to We'll Figure It Out.
Yes, it's been quite some time.
It has indeed been quite some time.
It's been months.
Months?
Probably. Months. Many
Years? Days?
Almost been a year.
10 years?
At least 1 hour.
Since our group has. Yeah.
That's right, not that one.
Days? Weeks?
Thank you.
Yeah.
You got my reference.
Maybe,
Anyway,
maybe 5.
as you can see from this video, we're going to be reviewing the new Avengers film. The new Avengers film that just came out recently. I'll say that. Since I don't know when this video is going up, I'll just say recently.
It's a small film, but it's making a little bit of buzz, right?
Indeed, it has made quite a decent amount of money and also buzz everywhere.
It's buzzing.
It's a small indie film. You may have heard about it.
Indeed. So yeah, before we get into like what we thought of everything, which in that case we'll obviously need to spoil a bunch of things that happened in it. Before we spoil everything, let's just start with what we thought of the movie without spoiling anything. So let's start to the left for no good reason, unless you're watching this video and then it's the right,
That's true.
because of mirror images.
I loved it. I thought it was probably definitely one of my favorite Marvel movies, if not my favorite in general. I like the character moments the best. So just the scene for the first time, you see it in comics, you've seen it in video games, but to see these characters interact for some of them for the first time ever on screen, it was definitely a treat. Even that, even the movie sucked, those scenes would have been awesome just to see those moments. But the movie didn't suck, so.
It did not suck.
It turns out it didn't suck.
Turns out it was pretty good.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people, I was included in that, were kind of worried. I didn't think it would be bad. I was like, there's a lot of people in this movie. It might be a little bit tough to cram into all that, a bunch of those people all at once. And I'm worried that it might feel too rushed or anything. But I think that they somehow made it work really well. Like, it works in a lot of different segments. And I heard someone else said this, I can't take credit for it, but I'm like, I kind of agree with what they said, which is like, it almost feels like the MCU is like a really long like television series. This is like a big season finale cliffhanger thing. Yeah. And every bit of this movie felt like it was like different episodes. Mm-hmm. So they were cutting from like, this is a storyline of these characters doing their own thing. And then it wasn't everyone all together all at once. We didn't get to see that big shot of like you know what I mean? Like in the first Avengers, you see that big shot of like helicopter, everyone in a circle, they're all together. This movie, that never actually happens. They have some characters who don't ever meet each other. And it's curious, it's an interesting idea, and I think it works better than just putting everyone in one place. I like that we cut back and forth to different locations all over the place. What did you think?
Amazing. Definitely in my top 3 of Marvel movies. I don't know, it might be number 1, but the first Iron Man still holds a special place in my heart, so that might actually beat it. So probably Iron Man is my top, and this is tied with maybe the first Avengers for
the first Avengers, not the first Avenger. There is a Captain America movie that's called The First Avenger, so you have to distinguish between.
We'll get into that later.
Indeed. Okay, guys. So why don't we just go right away into like the spoilers of things that we loved that were in the movie and reasons why we thought it was great.
All right, spoiler time.
Spoiler time.
Yes. Are you ready? Okay.
It's spoiler time. Is
that
what they say?
I think arguably probably the biggest surprise of the film.
Yeah.
It was Red Skull.
It kind of was, yeah.
Yeah, for him to show up. Everyone kind of assumed maybe he's out there somewhere. Maybe one day he'll come back, but no one actually thought this would be the movie he shows up.
See, it's at that moment when you just need Quicksilver show up. Oh, you didn't see that coming?
Yes, yes.
It's a really good like twist that I don't think anyone expected that to happen at that point, and but it makes a lot of sense. It's like, that totally makes sense. That he's there doing that, and it's a cool villain and a cool look for sure. So like as soon as he walked up and you saw that face, you don't have to. I don't think anyone that was a fan was ever like, oh, who's that again? It's like no, as soon as you see the face, you're like, oh, that's. Yeah. No one else looks like that guy. It wouldn't have worked if they'd done like the human version, or if they'd done a different person standing there, and I don't think it would have been as interesting if they just did some random guardian of something that is new. It was just really cool to see that face show up.
That, and they kind of allude to it being like death in the way it looked before you saw the face.
Yeah, he's got the Grim Reaper kind of look.
Now, funny story about that. My girlfriend, when we saw this, she had never seen the first Captain America movie. Because like, we had seen some of the other movies, we were trying to show it to her, we just never got around to it, and it was like, it probably isn't going to be anything bad.
It's probably not going to be important, we're just going to skip it. That's funny, actually.
So they did say from the get-go, they said these next 2 Avengers movies will have plot threads going back through every movie ever in this series, so it might be good to watch all of them.
I think it's a good thing that, and again, someone else said this to me, and I was like, I hadn't thought of it that way. So there's no possible way you could see this movie without having seen at least most of the other ones. Like, you could skip a few maybe, but if you just walked into this movie and sat down, you'd have no idea about anything. They don't take time to introduce the characters because they don't need to. They've already done that. And they don't say, this is what happened in the last movie. Because again, they're just assuming you've already seen.
It's only no time.
Especially, yeah, like in like Civil War. Like if you hadn't seen Civil War and you just walked in, they didn't say, oh, by the way, just in case, like previously, or like, you know, even like what Star Wars does, where they do the scroll.
Yeah.
There was no time for any of that. They just said, all right, the characters have been developed already, stories have already been developed, the relationships you already know. So we're just going to focus on the new things, and we're going to skip. We're not going to catch anyone up, because if you're in here, you probably are a big fan already. We're just going to go right into
That would be really entertaining to throw someone in there that had never seen any
Yeah,
Marvel
it would be
movies
really.
and see what-
They wouldn't understand any of it.
I've seen some people like talk about like, well, what's the big deal? All they watch is this movie. It's
Yeah.
like, well, you can't really watch just this movie.
It doesn't make any sense. There's no way, because it's
You might be entertained maybe, but you won't feel the
even like from the beginning of the movie. As soon
Yeah.
as you see the opening shot, you'd be like, "What's happening? I don't know any of these people." But if you're a fan, you know we've already seen. We know as soon as the debris came up in space, we're like, "Oh man, this is where we're starting." Everyone in the theater that knows Marvel knows what is happening, because we saw the end credits from Ragnarok and we saw that ship, so we know this. And I like that they did that. I like that intro where they said, "Okay, we're just going to start you right away." Where they didn't even show any of the battle. They just said Thanos won. It was easy.
Yeah.
He just he punched some people. They were all dead.
I like that there was no build up. There's so many movies they just build up to show the villain. He was right there.
Yeah.
He's immediately there. I mean, which is nice.
And they had an action sequence in like the first 10 seconds of the
Yeah.
movie. He walked in. He
Which
said some
Loki
things.
was like really Loki, you're only gonna give it that easy, and then suddenly it's like, actually, we have a Hulk. And
Yeah.
I love they got that line.
Yeah, that was a really cool callback to the first Avengers movie. That was really fun to see.
And Hulk went down.
Yeah, it was pretty simple for him to do that. So
I love how you thought the Hulk was just gonna start punching Thanos. It's like, oh, this is gonna be easy. Hulk's got this, and then they're just like, let him have his fun, and then we're like, oh.
it's not good.
Uh-oh.
just gonna throw him down. And so yeah. So what do we think about? I would think the one thing that we could talk about is like the overall tone of the movie. I like that. Again, people were worried about this as well, which is that this is a big serious movie where we kind of know the universe is basically going to get destroyed in some way, because Thanos has the Infinity Stones and he's getting more of them and all this. So people were afraid this is going to be too much of a big serious movie and nothing else. What do we think about the way that they used like the comedy in the movie throughout the whole, like for most of it? I think it seems like there was
I think
it was like
It helps because my movie, it's probably arguably one of the funniest Marvel movies.
Yeah.
While at the same time being it's probably the darkest one they ever done.
No, definitely.
So and I think it helps because otherwise you'd just be another DC movie.
that's true.
It's so dark. Are you sure you're not from DC Universe?
Yes. that was really funny. What do we think of what do you think was like your favorite comedic moment then? How about that? What was the best joke or the best part that was just like, that's funny, I like that, it made me laugh?
I just like the interaction between Tony Stark and Doctor Strange.
Oh, that was
I just think,
That's pretty funny.
both very egotistical people.
Yeah.
And then just obviously they hate each other. So it's just fun to see them
It worked out really
go
well.
back and forth.
Yeah, it's like you missed even like from the original Iron Man, it was fun. You know, that's what people loved about Robert Downey Jr. playing him, is he can play off being cocky and being kind of arrogant, and it works out really well. And then Doctor Strange kind of has a similar feel. You
Right.
can compare the two before actually, so it's fun to see them finally getting up.
I think, I'm trying to think of what my favorite one is. Probably, there's so many of Spider-Man that were just great too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe, might even in the beginning where it's like, hey, Ned, I need a distraction.
yeah.
Looks up, oh god, we're all gonna
Yeah,
die.
Yeah,
like
that's
he's
so
turning
cool.
around. My favorite part is that Ned, because I like Ned a lot. He looks like he's happy about it. He's like, yes, we get to do something exciting. And then he turns to everyone and like, we're gonna die. He just starts screaming.
Oh, come on. You see one alien visit and you've seen them all.
Exactly. I mean, he's just happy about
I
it. He
just
doesn't seem
imagine-
scared at all. He seems like this is awesome.
No, it's not just Stan Lee. It's like, come on, I've seen this stuff here for 10 years. This is nothing anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is the
There's a
Tuesday.
weird floating thing. It's not even doing anything right away.
Yeah.
I just loved. I think even though it was in the trailer and so I knew it was happening, I just laughed. I still laughed when they met. You know, when Tony and Doctor Strange and Spider-Man were sitting on the ship, and they introduced each other, and she goes, "I'm Doctor Stephen Strange," and Spider-Man's, "Oh, we're using our fake names. All right, I'm sorry." I was like, that's because it's a good joke where it's like, there's no way that's your real name. That's
Right.
really that doesn't make any sense to me. That's too perfect. He's the only superhero I know who just has his real name, and he just doesn't care. Because it's like, I guess I shouldn't change it. There's no better name.
It's perfect.
Yeah. So what about like the action, the whole? So again, there's kind of a couple big like action sequences. The base one being in Wakanda, obviously, when they're fighting all those million things.
No, that one I like the least.
What do you think what ones did you like better then?
Maybe when they were all trying to get the gauntlet of Thanos on his world, that was a really good action scene
That
with
was a
all of them
cool
working
idea.
together.
Yeah, I like the idea for sure of Doctor Strange getting to use his time stone and being like, okay, let me find out what's the best way to win this, and he goes through a million possibilities. And then they come up with this weird, interesting plan to get, you know what I mean? Like, they have to do a bunch of crazy things, and then Thanos, like, destroys the moon and throws it at them, which is the weirdest thing I've ever
But
seen.
that's the
It was
thing,
so good.
they almost won that until
Yeah.
Peter Quill was...
That's why I think this one movie was smarter than I think people were expecting, because when you watch it again, you can especially see, if you're thinking back, when Doctor Strange, sacrifices himself to save Tony Stark and gives the stone up, he tells them it's the end game, and then you have to think back and say, oh, Doctor Strange, when he said we have one way to win, he meant this one, the one where we actually all lose, is eventually we're going to win.
Yeah, I think that was
It's
him trying to tell Tony,
he's trying to
I'm
hint.
dying, but you're still a chance.
He's trying to say, like, don't worry, we're kind of a little bit like, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And I've heard a couple opinions, and I totally understand what they're saying. Like, someone said, okay, so if Doctor Strange knows everything's going to work out in the end, then why not just tell Tony Stark, hey, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. This is how you have to do it after I'm gone. But I think
that's what I'm saying.
I think the plan is he saw that someone said it this way, especially, which is the reason the first Avengers worked is because they needed. Nick Fury said himself they needed a push, so I had to kind of lie to them a little bit. I think that's what Doctor Strange is doing. He's saying the Avengers need to get together, Tony and Cap especially, and then get everyone together, whoever's left, and they need to have a reason to fight that hard and a reason to want to sacrifice everything. And if Doctor Strange just says, don't worry, they're not dead, they're going to come back easily, don't worry about it, then Tony might not be as motivated as he would really be right now when he thinks everything is lost. He's responsible for getting all these people killed.
And I love how they echoed the ending scene, like the vision he had in Ultron too.
Yeah.
And actually, bring that similar thing to what you just said, that's probably what wasn't as good about Ultron. Ultron was still a great movie, and I know some people may not like it as much. It's still a good movie. But in that last battle, they didn't have that push they had in the other ones. It was... The first one was New York. It was, okay, everyone knows this place, we gotta protect it. The second one, it's in a city that's made up, no one really knows it, you don't feel as much of a connection to it.
Right.
And they don't have the push of, oh, he killed Coulson, so...
Yeah, but I like this idea where obviously the stakes are huge, everything's on the line, and I like that everyone has different reasons for like coming to the fight. Like you can see, like everyone says it, they usually say them, especially like Doctor Strange just says, I don't care about anything else, I'm protecting the stone. If I need to let you guys die or anyone else die, I don't care. This is my duty to protect this thing. You can see, T'Challa when he comes out and he basically says, I'm going to do everything I can to protect my city, my country, the whole Wakanda. That's kind of his goal. I mean, obviously he's trying to help, but really the idea is he's sitting here on the battle lines with all of his armies and saying, we're not going to let them come in here. So it's interesting that not everyone is coming from the same, like they're not teaming up. They're just like, well, we need everyone we can get to fight this. And they all have reasons for wanting to come together. And that's why I think the next one would work well, because it's the Avengers. They're avenging the deaths of all these people.
It's the original team, pretty much.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, what do we think of that they decided to get rid of mostly the new cast of people? Spider-Man and Black Panther are the ones who vanished away, and the original core group of people, the Hulk and Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, are all still there.
See, I like some of those theories that I saw online that I was talking about in the car earlier, where maybe it's going to end with like somehow inverting things where everyone that's still alive now dies to bring everyone else back.
Maybe.
Because these are all people whose arguably contracts are up.
I know. I saw there was an interview they had with the directors, and they specifically asked, about that, and can Avengers 4 undo what happened and stuff. And they said, well, maybe it could be undone, but it would come at an extreme high cost.
Yeah.
And so they still believe in stakes. Still, and they also went to let you know that Avengers 4 is not what you think it is. It's not like the whole movie is just about undoing it.
Yeah.
It's there'll be something else happening. It sounds like.
And that's what I'm curious about. Is like I'm wondering if the movie is going to start out right after this one ends, or if they're going to kind of, because there's two interesting ways to do it. There's one that's basically this is a 2-part movie almost, and it's like it picks up right away. If you watch them back to back, you could just watch it straight through, and that would be a 5-hour movie or however long it's going to be.
Yeah.
Or are they going to actually have it be more separate? Where
a year later.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That would be really interesting to see what life is like, where half of the population of the Earth is, or the universe is just gone, and people just are like, well, we have to just keep going and living, and seeing a little bit of that before they finally find a way. Because obviously, some people would, especially the Avengers, would be like, we have to figure out a way to get them back, or but maybe they can't figure it out right away, and they're like kind of stuck.
I know one spoiler from the sequel movie that I saw from the set photo online, which I probably shouldn't say anything in here, but it has me really intrigued of how they're going to do that, and...
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I'll say the same thing in case people haven't seen it and won't say anything, but I'm curious the directions that they might be going in the movie, if you've seen things.
We can discuss after we're done with this.
Exactly, yeah.
Make sure we're all talking about the same thing.
I'm pretty sure. So yeah, what did you think of, so there's obviously there's 2 kind of big emotional moments that really worked for me. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but the 2 that were huge were both having to do with Gamora, who was kind of a character that most people, including myself, were kind of not huge fans of from the comics or the movies really, until this one, where it kind of felt like she was given
focus.
Yeah, she was given some stuff to do and was kind of the star of at least a big portion of it. They have obviously the scene where she's sitting there with, Star-Lord and trying to convince him that this is not a good idea, you need to kill me and get me out of here so that he doesn't have a chance to find it. And that was just some good acting between the 3 of those people, where Josh Brolin did a great job, but the 2 of them especially trying to figure out how to work. And then obviously the big final moment of him getting the Soul Stone and what he has to sacrifice to get that. What do you guys think of those moments and how they...
I think the Gamora, Thanos kills her to get the Soul Stone. I think that it kind of humanizes Thanos too. He has emotion. I think it makes him such a fascinating villain. He is such a torn, he's not just a pure evil being. He does have reasons.
And you can understand his reasoning. Yeah. He's gone out the wrong way, but you understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, you can definitely see why he wants to do what he wants to do.
Yeah,
until it hurt him to kill Gamora, he didn't want to.
And a lot of comic books or other big things like this where you have, heroes versus villains, a lot of times the easiest way to do it is just to have a villain who is either completely crazy and mentally unstable and doesn't understand things, or have someone who's just pure evil and enjoys killing people for whatever reason. It's always better when you can get someone who seems like a real person and who has a reason that actually makes sense for them. And where he thinks that he's a really good guy for doing this because he realizes what could happen after this is over. Where he says, I know it's tough right now, I know it seems bad, but they won't feel any pain, they'll just be gone, they don't exist anymore, and then the universe will definitely be better, and then I'll go away. And it's wow, that makes a weird bit of sense.
I think it speaks to his character, the whole movie. Every time he ran into any of the characters, really, he didn't try to kill any of them. Loki's the only one, Loki kind of forced his hand.
Yeah, because Loki tried to stab him.
Yeah, but everyone else, he ran into Jax and Mantis and turned him into a stone and rubber and stuff.
Yeah,
he turned it right back.
Yeah.
He could have killed them. At the end of the movie, he's walking up in Wakanda. He could have just killed all of them, but he didn't.
But that's not what he does.
He just wanted the stone. That's all he wanted.
And he's like he said, I'm going to sit here on the sunset and just be done with my life and look back. And it's it's crazy, but it also is not the typical villain idea of just he wants to rule the universe, or which is what people probably thought. If you don't know Thanos from the comics, what you might have thought from the beginning of the MCU, when you just see this big guy standing on a throne and sending invasions and whatever else. It wasn't clear originally what his intentions were. It just seemed like he was kind of kill and destroy and all this stuff. But really, he does everything he does for one purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious how much of a role Thanos himself is going to play in the next movie.
Yeah.
If you see what he does after he's completed everything he's ever wanted. Like, what is he gonna do? Is he really just like, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna live the rest of my life in this wherever planet he's on in peace. Obviously, it's not going to exactly
Something
work out
obviously
that way, I'm
grabs back
assuming.
out.
But I'm curious, like, what it is. It's like, maybe it didn't work out the way he thought, and the universe isn't better. Maybe it's just much worse.
Now, I think my biggest dramatic one would be Spider-Man's death scene, because it mirrored Captain America so much from the Vision, but just the fact, the way it was going, like he almost had like a spider sense before, like, I don't feel so good, because he was a lot slower than the others.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark, I don't want to go.
Yeah, and then breaking down, I mean, to me, it's just so sad. At the end of the movie, and you see Tony literally just, in tears.
He's by himself.
Captain America just collapses on the ground and just like shocked. I mean, just like it's sad to see these heroes lose.
Yeah.
But it was great too, because like everyone, like not everyone, some people complained, oh, why are they throwing Tony Stark and the Spider-Man and all this, and after Civil War and everything, you get the payoff of all of that, of him kind of being a mentor and Tony developing a relationship with him and caring about Peter and.
Yeah, it was another arc that really worked well in the movie. It's just having a progression. And again, the reason it works so well is because you don't have to just have progression from the beginning of this movie to the end, even though it is a really long movie, so there's plenty of time to do that. But you have some characters who have been having these arcs, their storylines from, 10 years ago, and for at least 4 or 5 different movies. Like from Tony Stark, he had, from the first Iron Man over to the next one, and then over to Avengers, and then kind of this new idea of him trying to be a mentor to a new group of people, kind of starting it with Civil War, then Spider-Man, and then this one. It's like, and then that finally it's not closes out, but it kind of closes out with him realizing, what have I done? This was a terrible plan. I shouldn't have ever brought him into this, basically. That's what it seems like that anyway, that's what he's thinking. Because he even says a few times, don't come with me, just go. He tries to send him away. He tells him more than once he doesn't want him here. It's too dangerous. And then he you can see it on his face afterwards, which is that I was right, I shouldn't have let him come with me. I should have just sent him away.
Well, I think Tony, in many ways, has been trying to kind of course correct some things. A lot of things that's happened were partly his doing. Ultron in particular was something he created. All of his stakes to be, make the world safe. And, I would almost argue, I like this little scene between Thanos and Tony at the end, like, I respect you, Stark. He's like, you know who I am? Like, of course I know who you are. And so I'm going to curse with knowledge. I almost kind of think it's kind of a mirror. It's supposed to maybe show Tony, like, they're not too different, the two of them. Thanos also, kind of like this futurist, he also wants to see it and look out and protect it.
And see the big picture.
Yeah, see the big picture, like Tony likes to do too, but it also causes some issues.
Yeah, and when you think about that, it's really interesting to think about how it worked from even the first Iron Man, which was even Tony Stark as his original self before the Iron Man suit, before anything.
Right.
He had almost the same idea.
Yeah.
He was working as a defense contractor to build weapons to try, because he thought he was trying to make the world a better place. He was not like this terrible person who was like purposely like, whatever, I'll just make money. Even though it's kind of portrayed that way, even before Iron Man and how that changed him into a different person, he was still kind of thinking that he had the world's best interests at heart.
Right.
And that keeps happening. He did it again when he tried to form the Avengers in the big Avengers movie, and he did it again when he tried to build Ultron, and he did it again when he tried to make, the Sokovia Accords and try to sign it. It's like every time he just keeps trying, and so you wonder how his story is going to end, and how it's like, what is it teaching him? How is he going to be a better, is it just going to be him finally saying, I'm done, I'm going to retire and not do anything, even though he's tried to do that twice already.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
He's going to have to die. I thought he was going to die in this movie, but...
It probably will at some point.
Ooh, imagine if they continue off from there, and he's kind of healed, but he's still slowly dying or something.
That could be.
It's interesting, yeah.
Like, because if he gets that pretty bad, I don't imagine him just sealing it up.
Yeah, he's got the quick, seal, whatever that stuff was that he used, like nanotechnology.
But I don't imagine that's going to fix everything, so imagine he's slowly dying the entire next movie.
I would definitely assume in Avengers 4, Steve or 21 has to go.
Yeah.
To feel the impact of what's happening, they're the two biggest two, one of them will have to go.
Especially like you said, when the directors say there's going to be, a very high price, it's going to be at least one of them, if not both.
Is Captain America going to get his shield back in the next movie?
I hope so. I think it'd be kind of a cool moment. Like Tony and Steve need that moment. When Tony needs to come to him and like, I need your help.
I kind of feel like it's going to be maybe halfway through the movie. Like again, it'll take a while, but eventually he'll say, "Fine, we have to do it." Like maybe he will say that. Maybe he'll say one more time, and then we're done.
So he's just got to get home first.
Yeah, exactly. He'll have to find a way off the planet. but I'm assuming that everyone's going to be looking for him too because they know they need everyone.
I just feel bad. Think about for Steve here. The 2 years go by. The phone finally rings, and it's not Tony, it's Bruce. It's like, what?
But I bet you Thor, because they said he can summon the Bifrost, he can probably
He'll
get
probably get it.
Yeah.
I'd say.
What do you think of the? So there was a little bit of a side plot that they had with Scarlet Witch and Vision. What did you think about that throughout the movie?
Well, I liked it. It's one of those comic book storylines which they fell in love and stuff, which is it's kind of weird on paper, and I think it kind of made it work in the movie.
Because they made him look more human.
Yeah, they made it work, and I think it kind of added to the end. What else the end game of Vision was he had to die no matter what happened.
Yeah, because you need
And
the
stuff.
Scarlet.
And I love the moment that when Scarlet Witch, obviously in tears, has to kill him. And then it's just rewind it and kill him again.
And again,
Yeah, that was a bad moment too, or like a good but hurt
Yeah.
moment.
It's the entire, and again, I like that they had two, like those kind of mirrored images where you had Star Lord and Gamora, and her telling him you have to make this decision, and then the same thing happening with Vision and Scarlet Witch. He's saying the same exact thing, which is you have to. There's no other way. You have to kill me. It saves the day. And then they had Steve saying, we don't want to sacrifice people, but both of them have to make that choice.
Right.
But again, it's just really, it's crazy to see them finally say, okay, I make that choice. Both of them did it. Both Star-Lord pulled the trigger and she killed Vision. They both were trying to make the sacrifice, and then Thanos just said, I'm not going to allow you to do that. He was out, he knew they were planning it, and so he just was
I thought
ahead
it was
anyway.
cool to see, and this speaks to how powerful she is. She did hold back, however briefly, a fully powered up Thanos, pretty much at that point.
Yeah.
So and she's doing it from both sides. I mean,
She's holding it up in one hand. And then
yeah, so it showed, she's a fascinating character.
She's one of the most powerful people in the
It's
universe.
interesting to see.
To be able to destroy an Infinity Stone.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely tough. I definitely hope she comes back.
So I don't know how it was when you went to go see it. Travis and I went to go to the IMAX. Obviously, I know you did as well. So that obviously added to the.
Yeah.
It was the first. I think it's the first movie ever that was shot in
Completely
IMAX,
in IMAX,
completely
yeah.
all the
Yeah.
way through. So
Yeah.
it looked amazing. It
Yeah,
was
the-
crazy to see the full screen, everything huge. And so there was obviously a lot of people, and it was packed and everything. And so there was a couple of moments that got big applause things. And I was thinking of one in our theater that got the most applause. And I'm curious if it's the same for you. For us, I remember for sure that it's whenever Thor dropped out of the sky on the Bifrost and then took his new giant hammer and
Yeah, that
started
was awesome.
going crazy on everyone, and his
Yes.
eyes were lighting up.
Yeah.
People just went crazy.
Yeah, people went crazy for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And then they went crazy when Captain America first showed up in the
seeing him
shadow.
on,
He comes up.
Seeing him on screen was.
I think that Thor was finally as powerful as he should have been
Yes.
in his movies there.
Yeah. I'm one of those people that like Thor from the beginning, but to me, his from Ragnarok in this journey on, to me, it's he's really kind of
Really good.
rejuvenated himself into a character. I hope to see more Thor films.
Yeah.
We probably won't, but it'd be
It
nice.
would be cool to see one
I
more.
want to see at least one more.
Yeah, or at least him team up. Obviously, he's going to be in the Avengers
Yeah.
as a big part of it.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they're deciding to do the original
Yeah.
cast of the Avengers all back together.
Yeah.
Because
Probably for
you
the
have-
last time.
Hawkeye will have to show up
Hawkeye
somewhere.
probably will show up, but they have Black Widow and Hulk and
Yeah.
Iron Man and Captain America and Thor, and so it's going to be really fun to see those same people again. How many almost 10 years.
I love the
later
moment
from
between
now,
him and Steve, and it's you cut your hair, and you copied my beard.
Yeah.
But think about how powerful his new axe is. If it can go against and fully power the Infinity Gauntlet with all the gems in it.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah, it was pretty good. He almost got and again I like that Thanos kind of looked at him a little bit, being like, "Huh, you almost got me there. You were close. You just
He
missed
doesn't
it."
hurt him. He's
Yeah.
even in the movie. He's sitting there. He's still kind of wincing when he sits
Yeah.
down. But
But it was
He was healed, but he's just
yeah, but he was that Thor could have ended it right there, really, if he.
he had one job, Thor, aim for the head.
Yeah, it was so close.
he probably thought the axe would go right through him or something.
Maybe.
He was hoping, I guess. But
He just cut his arm off. Cut that not more off him.
I
Oh,
like-
that would have been great.
that was a very cool subplot too, to have Thor going out and with Groot and Rocket trying to build the hammer.
Yes.
And going through that whole sequence of how difficult it was to get it to build because they had the star that was
That was an
piloting the
awesome
thing.
scene.
It
No,
was
I
like, yeah.
love Peter Dinklage in there too.
Oh, yeah, that
it
was
was really
great.
cool to see Peter Dinklage and seeing Groot, the whole time he's not paying attention. He's like, whatever, I'm just playing the game.
Typical
And then he
teenager.
finally is just like, oh, something's happening, I need the help. And then he gets, that was really cool. I like that idea of that hammer, that it's this crazy, powerful, metal thing that is forged from the heart of a star, and then arm of Groot, and it's like that's insane that's so now in the
Literally
future
give
if
a
that,
hand.
when that hammer is used, it's like the story of it.
Yeah.
That's again that's why it's. I think it would make it even better when if we see more of that hammer. It's like, man, we know how important that is
But it's
and
a-
how difficult it was to get.
He kept saying, I need a new hammer, I need a new hammer, but they ended up getting an axe.
Yeah, it's close enough.
Close enough.
You can hit stuff with it and swing. And,
Are we getting Beta Ray Bill?
Well, that's the question now. He is hinted at on the Grandmaster's Tower and Ragnarok, but the Stormbreaker hammer in comics is Beta Ray Bill's, not Thor's.
and maybe when Thor goes away, because he
Maybe.
might die, then they'll have
They
the
could
hammer
change
is
things.
really cool.
I mean,
They
it's
can give it to
whatever,
him.
yeah. But they could obviously change things.
Yeah.
I'd see him coming
Again,
back.
I think most of the original cast is probably going to be done after
Yeah.
the next Avengers, so either they retire or they leave or they get killed or whatever, and so it'll be interesting to see. And again, so what do you think the Marvel Universe will do and what they should do with those characters? Do we think that they should keep going with the new people and not worry too much, or do you think they should have another person be Iron Man, or do you think they should wait a bit and just do how about we'll just do Spider-Man, Black Panther, Ant-Man, the new characters, and keep introducing new people, or should they recast those old ones and have a different person be Iron Man?
I think they should almost, depending on who survives, say, they won't, but let's say they all survived.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of them should just kind of, not recast, but just have them go off, into the sunset somewhere. Like somebody like Robert Downey Jr., he might play Iron Man, but he can show up as Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Like an older Tony, because Robert Downey Jr.'s concern is he's getting older.
Yeah.
To be Iron Man running around until we go crazy. But being just Tony Stark,
That's true.
pop up from time to time, it's
I wouldn't be
whatever.
that surprised if some of them thought that,
Yeah.
which is just, they're not going to be in every movie, they're not going
No.
to show up in the Avengers, but maybe 5 or 6
Yeah.
years from now, they
Like
want
Thor,
they
I
decide they want to
can
come back.
see if he survives, I can see him just going back up in space to find any possible Asgardians who are alive, and
And
keep
they
an eye on
don't
things.
see him for a while,
Yeah, he just goes away, and they won't come back one day to do a 4th film. He's there. But I do though, I think they probably will focus more on these newer characters and maybe newer ones we haven't seen yet
Yeah.
moving forward, and maybe occasionally seen some of the other ones pop up.
Alright, what did you guys think of the after credits scene?
I liked it.
Yeah, it's exciting to see that they're trying to set up things. It's interesting that they did it. I'm kind of on the side of I think I would have been fine if there was no end credits scene
Is
at
it
all,
that?
because I
Didn't
think
put
it
it
was
there.
really because I think that was such an emotional ending. It was so perfect that it would have been. It was still nice to see, but it also I don't think was completely necessary to see. Nick Fury's out there somewhere. We knew that already. Him disappearing, I guess, it's kind of important, but I almost feel like they could have been somewhere in the movie even. Like when they were showing everyone disappearing, they could have just cut to Nick Fury in the movie and had him disappear
Yeah.
as well. And then even if you want, whether or not you're in the Captain Marvel, logo, everyone knows that movie's coming, so I don't think that's,
I
necessary.
think it's maybe a nice tease just to let you know that, maybe further, reiterate the fact that this fight it's not over yet.
Yeah.
And someone like her, and maybe Ant-Man and Wasp ones, they're possibly still out there,
There's still more.
and they can still come fight this.
Yeah, Derek, we were talking after we walked out of the movie about why Captain Marvel never showed up before, if she's been around. I was thinking about this, and I think I might talk to you or someone about it, that maybe she wasn't on Earth this whole time.
Yeah, that's what I think she's gone.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, if she was trying to handle more, different things.
She's a pretty cosmic character. When she is earthbound, she does go off quite a bit.
So I'm curious, and again, it'll be interesting to see how much of the movie. Obviously, the Captain Marvel movie they've said is in the '90s, and it's sort of an origin story for her as well. So I'm curious if they will. I would imagine that the end credits of that movie will kind of show where she's been, or even again maybe they'll do similar. Travis and I talked about how might be a similar idea to Wonder Woman, where they show sort of a reason why she wasn't around, and then maybe even show cut to the present, and now this is why she is around again. Like
That means it would have to show you, number one, her relationship with Nick Fury.
Yeah.
And why Fury? Why now? Like, why didn't he call her for Avengers
Yeah.
years ago? I know he did. It was just one of those things. He seemed to know immediately. As soon as he saw what was happening, he immediately reached for that item. So it's like,
yeah.
like,
So it's interesting.
he didn't hesitate at all.
Yeah, the reason that I'm thinking that might be the case is, so I like that they're doing, these connections to different things. Like obviously when you have Guardians, they mention Thanos in that movie. They say, because Gamora and Thanos have a big relationship in this thing. So I'm curious if they're going to take Captain Marvel and give her a stronger connection to either Thanos or something else.
Could be.
And so that's why he immediately thinks of her as, okay, maybe there's a
But
reason.
he doesn't know Thanos. He just
But he
knows
knows-
the wormhole opening up over Wakanda and suddenly everyone disappears.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, he knows that something's happening, and I'm assuming Nick Fury's smart enough to know
He might
what
know
the
more.
Infinity Gauntlet would do, maybe, or maybe not exactly, but
Based on that scene, we don't really know
That's
he knew it was the
exactly.
Infinity Gauntlet.
but he knows something big is happening, and like you said, he didn't try to call Tony or Cap or any of those people. So he either knew they were already on it, or he knew for some reason that she would specifically want to help with this.
Yeah.
It's interesting that they
Because
chose.
he sees Marie Hill disappear, and it's like immediately
Yeah.
jumps to that. Yeah.
Well, they did say, "Oh, we can't get in contact with Stark anymore." In
Yeah.
the scene too.
So that's true. So they obviously, but again, he has a device that is specifically meant to contact her. So again, they probably were close at some point.
What would be cool is, like in her movie, they show her going off world or something in the end, and like there's an after credit scene of her showing up like a few months before this happens. She shows up like, "Hey Fury, I'm back right now. If anything ever happens, here, get a hold
That
of
could
this or
work, yeah.
something."
And she's in space. It's reason to believe she could run into Thanos at
That's
some
true.
point.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, it's an interesting idea.
She'll show up a bunch of Asgardians. She's like, "I just found these in an escape pod." And
Yeah, I'm curious. Do you think they're going to bring back some of the? There's already been mentions of Valkyrie and some
yeah,
of
they
the
said
other
Valkyrie's
Guardians.
alive. They definitely said
So
she's
do you
alive.
think that they would bring her back into the Avengers movie, or do you think they're going to kind of save her for any future? Because again, if they're not making more Thor movies, but they do want to keep her character going,
Right. That's the.
what do they do with her then?
So
They put
there's
her
a
in-
theory out there, let's just say Gamora hasn't come back from the dead. Because some people I think will stay dead.
I think
And
probably.
she died before everyone disappeared. She could very well just stay dead.
Yeah.
So someone's like, well, not that you have to, but what if Valkyrie destroyed the Guardians? What if,
That would
oh, that would be cool.
what if Lady Sif is out there somewhere joining them instead?
That would be really
Someone has
cool.
to take that spot as kind
I
of
think so,
female
yeah.
lead.
Yeah.
So it's
Imagine if
like,
they said that, like,
That
"Oh,
would-
Sif wasn't on Asgard when it
Yeah.
fell."
That would be really interesting. If
Yeah,
they had
she's
one
gone
of them come
somewhere.
in. I would
So
like
it's-
that because that's the only hang up that I had too, which was like, oh man, I think that they're gonna bring back all the people who disappeared, but everyone who died is gonna stay dead. But then I thought that same thing too, which is like, I don't think they can kill Gamora. I think Gamora is too essential for the Guardians.
Yeah.
But if they have someone else come in, even if they're not someone who was originally in
you
there,
could even.
they could do it because I don't think it's gonna be Mantis. I mean Mantis was
No,
kind of
she's
in this
not-
movie, but I don't think
yeah.
she's a lead for
No,
the.
you need
She doesn't
somebody-
fill that role. I think it
Yeah.
needs to be someone else.
Yeah. And they might even throw Thor on the Guardians. I mean, there's already, there's so
That'd be
many
fun
things you
too,
could
yeah.
do with that.
One thing I wish they changed in Ragnarok, which, it's been so long, we have not reviewed a lot of movies on here,
Yeah.
but in Ragnarok, not in Ragnarok, Dark World, they had, they showed, like, okay, Asgardians go to other places kind of help out and stuff.
Yeah.
I wish they hadn't shown all the Warriors 3 getting killed in Ragnarok,
Yeah.
because then they could have just brought them back and said, oh, they were out doing other things.
Well, I think they did that because they wanted to show you, like, Hela was so strong. She
Yeah,
did
they
all
wanted
so
to kind of.
Yeah, but it's like, I wish the scene had been better in there with them, because they're more important than
That's pretty shocking. It's like, oh, they're
I
gone.
think it's just really fast.
Kind of like even Heimdall, let's move there. He's gone. Loki's gone. They're all done.
Again, in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, so I mean,
Um,
I can understand why. Sif was supposed to be in the movie, or she's on a TV series, so couldn't be there. So
Yeah.
Marvel's official statement was, "That's a story for a different time." She is out there.
That's interesting. I like that. Yeah, they are, because again, they mentioned there were some escape pods and some of the Asgardians got out, so
Yeah.
they could continue that, if not Thor specifically, that
Yeah.
Asgardians in some form.
Captain Marvel will show up in the next Guardians, then she'll join the Guardians.
It could be, who knows.
Who knows?
So yeah, any final thoughts? What do we all think?
Where would you rank it in terms of your Marvel movies?
I think I have to watch it again, at least once or twice. It's definitely in the top 3.
Yeah.
When I walked out, I thought it might be possibly my favorite one. It's really, really
I think
good.
it's my favorite one.
It's very,
My
very
top
good.
3
Yeah.
definitely.
I think I might go see it again sometime this weekend, or
Yeah.
maybe next weekend, or
Couple
sometime
more,
during the week.
yeah.
I really want to see it a couple more
That
times.
would be great.
It's just so good.
Thank you all for joining us. We will hopefully have some more content.
Hopefully?
I mean, we'll see.
We'll figure it
That's-
out.
Yes.
We will figure it out. That is the name of our show. And,
And we're figuring it out. We've been busy. We all work. We all have lives.
indeed, that is a fact.
I don't know.
We've been spared so far.
Sure.
We could just fade away.
I mean, I suppose we
You
could.
should do an effect as you close this up and says phase. Phase away.
Again, it might be too much work, but we'll see. Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Thank you.